More than 50 years ago, NASA's Apollo program sent humans to the moon with less computing power than is in your mobile phone. Since then, technology has transformed space exploration. We've landed rovers on Mars and sent robotic explorers to the outer reaches of our solar system. Now, we're ready to send humans into space again, starting at the place we know best, the moon, where we're going to stay and learn as much as possible as we forge a human path deeper into space than ever before. Artemis is NASA's program to return humans to the moon for long-term exploration. It is named after the Greek goddess, who is Apollo's twin sister. The Artemis missions will take us to the moon's south pole, a region that's rich in natural resources and geologic features that will help us answer fundamental questions about the history of our moon, Earth, and solar system. On this season of NASA Explorers, you'll meet the scientists, engineers, technicians, and astronauts of Artemis. These are the people who are designing science investigations, analyzing grains of moon dust in the lab, building tools for lunar exploration, and training to conduct science on the surface of the moon.
Yes, so my job title is now astronaut, NASA astronaut. What first interested me and the first time I kind of said that I wanted to be an astronaut, I was around 9 years old. I was doing an after-school curricular program at Judy Resnick Elementary School, and I think I asked my parents about who she was and what her career path was, and I think that was the first time that it was explained to me that, hey, you could go to space and hang out there as a career option. So I think that was kind of the first time I said, that sounds awesome. That's really what I'd like to do. I had done some kind of summer program type of classes. One thing that sticks out in my head was dissecting a cow eye, and I came home and was just raving about how cool that was, and it was so fun. And I think my parents looked at me kind of funny, but I think that was kind of the beginning of my interest and love in science, and really wanting to dive into research and asking questions.
Before becoming an astronaut, Dr. Jessica Watkins worked as a planetary geologist. As a member of the science team behind NASA's Curiosity rover, her work focused on Mars. Now, Jessica is working aboard the International Space Station and is one of the Artemis astronauts and rare human beings who may get to leave their footprints on the moon.
In that moment, there is a whole team of hundreds of people that have contributed, probably thousands of people, that have contributed to that reality. And, the kind of the last piece of it is, the human in the loop that's actually executing it. But in reality, it will just be about representing the rest of that team well and doing your job, your one piece of that puzzle well.
Dr. Julie Mitchell represents another piece of the Artemis puzzle: sample processing and storage. When Artemis astronauts deliver the next set of moon samples to Earth, they'll need to be stored in a specifically designed facility and preserved for current and future generations.
My main title is the Curator of Ices and Organics. All that means is that I'm helping NASA get ready to bring ice samples back from the solar system. So I work in what's called the Astromaterials Acquisition and Curation Office. We just call it the Curation Office for short. So all of the Apollo moon rocks, meteorites, all of our sample return missions from asteroids, from comets, all of those samples come here to Houston, and it's our office's job to take care of those samples and make sure that they're available to the scientific community to study. So I grew up in Louisiana on the bayou. I was down at the water all the time looking for snakes and turtles and looking at different plants that were out there. Nighttime would come around and, I was just looking at the stars. I wanted to know the constellations. I wanted to understand what was going on up there. And neither of my parents went to college. None of my siblings or I had any expectation of going to college either. My older sister, she actually ended up going to college, eventually got her PhD. She just gave me a hard time and just kind of was very persistent with me and saying, look, just apply to one school. Luckily, I got in.
Acting to that accomplishment, and I just feel so much pride, and knowing that I get to be a part of it this time around is just, it's so much fun. It makes every day just seem like a dream.
Together, Jessica, Julie, Jose, and Adam are pieces of the Artemis puzzle. Each is a vital component of the team working to accomplish the monumental task of exploring a world beyond Earth.
You can't just do this with a geologist, or you couldn't just do this with an engineer. You really need a mix of people to think about these challenges from all the different angles. And we have that team.
These are our explorers, the people who will get us to the moon, collect moon rocks, deliver them to Earth safely, and ensure that we can study them for years to come.
By the time we get to the moon, we're going to have the best tools. We're going to have the best containers. We're going to have the best crew. And that's because everybody involved really, really cares. And all of that is going to lead us to the very best science we can do. Everybody's hard work ahead of time will make sure that we have these excellent samples and that they're preserved for the long term.
Virtually everyone on Earth knows the first words uttered from the surface of the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
But not many people know that the next words were all about science.
Surface is fine and powdery. I can pick it up loosely with my toe.